Welcome back to Asha Auto Styling. I'm Lucas, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can make your own DIY camo wrap at home. The purpose of this video is to show how you can create your own custom camo wrap design at home using knifeless tape. In a previous video I did on camo wraps, I received quite a bit of criticism, and it's pretty justified because I didn't clearly articulate how to use knifeless tape in that video. I was comparing printed wraps and like pre-printed ones that you can buy from companies like Vivid to making your own custom DIY camo with little pieces or scrap pieces of vinyl left over. So the point I was trying to make was that when you make your own custom wrap with different pieces, you're going to have seams. And I was comparing that to the other options, printed wraps and pre-printed ones that will have no seams. That is the point I was trying to make. The reason I didn't mention knifeless tape, and this is what I didn't articulate clearly enough, is that yes, 100% knifeless tape will look way better for the seams. However, you will still have seams. It doesn't address that issue of not having seams, and that was the point I was trying to make. Having said all of that, let's get into this camo wrap tutorial. Okay, so this is the first way you can do it, and in both of these methods, we're going to be using knifeless tape, obviously. So in this one, we're just going to create our little, some type of design, our camo, and we're going to come down to here, cut this. Okay, so we have our first line. I'm just going to tack this here roughly. Unravel. Try and glass it out a little bit. Okay. This is obviously a matte film, and it scratches really easily, so you can see all these marks. Luckily, those do come out if you use heat or put it in the sun later, but if you're worried about that and worried about scratching someone's wrap or your own wrap, just put a little buffer on either your squeegee or the vinyl and you can avoid all of that. So this is our first piece done. We've done it with knifeless tape, and now we're gonna add our second piece over top of this. And we're gonna follow this line that we've created with the knifeless tape, just overlapping it a very little bit, and you'll see how that looks when it's done. Just gonna overlap a tiny bit. Now we get our vinyl, and just like the other one, I'm gonna put this down. Tack it kind of at the top a little bit so I can pull it. Pull it this way a little. That's good. Let's pull this with the knifeless tape. There we go. Pulling, try and make it nice and smooth. Constant pressure. There we go. So now, fill this up. Very satisfying. And then don't forget your little pieces of knifeless tape underneath. Pull those up, also very satisfying. So if you remember my previous video where I used a bunch of little different shapes, those seams were a mess. It looked terrible. Compare that to this. So if you look right here where the colors meet, you will still see a seam. Now, obviously, this looks way better than that other option did. There's not random seams going everywhere. Looks much more professional, much cleaner, but you still have a seam. Now, this was the point I didn't clarify in that other video. Even if you use knifeless tape, you will still see a seam. Now, we're going to add one more piece to the top, and then I'm going to show you a different way where you can actually minimize the amount of seams that you have. This bend here is too sharp for me to make with a knifeless tape. So I'm going to have to cut this and add a separate piece there. And then we'll go up from here. Cut this. So now we have two pieces of knifeless tape, one here and one here. This one we put down second, which means it's on top. So we have to pull this one first. If we pull the one underneath first, it'll mess up, obviously, knifeless tape on top. So we take our vinyl, we're gonna place it, just got enough. Pull this down. We have to remember the order to pull the knifeless tape. This one, put down second, so you have to pull it in reverse order. We're pulling this one first. Tug, boom, and then you can pull. Now we pull our second piece. There you go. And then we'll take these out. Like that. Beautiful. So we have our next piece done. And again, there will be a seam. So you can see one right there, and you can see one going up like that because you're overlapping vinyl. That's just what happens. No doubt it looks way cleaner than random pieces everywhere, but you're not gonna hide seams. Even with knifeless tape, you are going to have seams. But there is a way to minimize the amount of seams that you do have if you do this. The first thing you wanna do is establish your colors that you're gonna use for your wrap. For this, we're gonna be using matte green, then we have the matte brown, khaki brown, and then satin black. Those are our three colors. What you can do, and this is the more expensive way to do it, is you pick one of your colors. Which one is your primary color? Primary meaning the one you're gonna use the most. In this case, it is this, our matte green, our matte military green. This will be our primary color, the color that will be most predominant on the vehicle. So what you can do is you can wrap the entire vehicle in that predominant color. For the sake of this, we are going to pretend I've wrapped the entire hood, the entire vehicle with this matte military green, and I'll show you what it does. Make sure I have enough here. Yeah, okay, we're good. Tack this down. I'm gonna make a midpoint and anchor here. Now I do have the windshield washer in. That's gonna mess us up a little, but shouldn't be that big of a deal. So, I'm gonna start at the center point, and then we're gonna squeegee outwards. Okay, let's get this trimmed out. Obviously, you're just gonna remove those for a regular wrap. You're not gonna cut around them like that. But right now, I want you to imagine the entire hood is wrapped. Now, I'm gonna do exactly what I did with the khaki and the black, and you'll see how we have less seams. Also, you can see me get rid of all these scratches right here with some heat. Pretty cool how that works, but ideally you don't want to scratch it in the first place, right? So that's why some type of slip solution is much better. The khaki one wants something like this. I'm not gonna remember, but it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to repeat it just so everyone understands what we're doing here. Imagine that the military green is the entire hood. That's why I'm not going past it here. I didn't put the knifeless tip down completely, and that's not good. So I'm going to fix that. There. Just like last time, we're going to cover all the knifeless tape, tack it down a little bit so I can pull it. Go over all the areas that we need to go over. And just like that. So our first two pieces are done, and look here, no seam. No seam anywhere. Why is that? Because here, if we're looking here, you see how it ends, and there's a height difference. You have paint and then vinyl. That doesn't exist here because the entire thing is wrapped. So when you put your vinyl over top, you don't see a seam, and it looks really clean. Now again, to do this, you will have to wrap the entire hood or the entire car in that primary color you choose. Typically, those colors will be matte military green, like you see here, a satin black, or even a gloss black. That's the foundation. That's the base of the camo wrap. Now, we have three colors, so we're going to add our third color, and you'll see what happens. Let's plop it down there. Okay, so again, no seam here, but because we overlapped the brown, you'll see a seam there. Overall, when you step back, it looks much cleaner than the first version in terms of seams. Now, you can do it a third way. You have your primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. You can do it so that these two, the secondary and the tertiary, never actually touch each other. So you'll have no seams anywhere. That's an option. Personally, I don't really like that. It looks better when all the colors are interacting with each other, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. But yeah, so that's how you can do it. If you're trying to do a camo wrap at home, whether it's a car, quad, a toy, ATV, even your phone, a toolbox, anything like that, if you're going to use knifeless tape, this is how you can do it to minimize the seams. But I want you guys to know, and again, the point that I didn't make clear in my other video, if you use knifeless tape, you will still have seams. It will look much cleaner than if you don't, but you will still have seams. If you're afraid of that, or you just don't like the look of that, you can get a custom printed one, you can order it, or you can just go to Vivid or any of these companies that carry a pre-made camo. There's no seams in that, and it looks just as good. Only downside is it's not custom, right? For this, you get to pick your own colors. You know, you can pick whatever colors you want, make whatever design you want, and that's completely up to you. It's kind of like a fun art project, right? I hope this helps. I hope it clears up any confusion from my previous video. And as always, thanks for watching.